Tomorrow morning, the very first thing you experience won't be the gentle return of consciousness. It will be a violent assault. A cold piece of glass and metal sitting on your nightstand will emit a synthetic shriek, instantly shattering your sleep. And like millions of others, you will feel miserable. You will groggily reach for the snooze button, dragging your heavy body out of bed, feeling as if you've just lost a battle against your own biology. But it wasn't always like this. For 99.9% of human existence, that jarring noise simply did not exist. There were no digital numbers ticking away, no conceptualized 7 a.m., and no mechanical alarms. Yet, for hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors didn't just wake up at random. They woke up consistently, they woke up fully alert, and they did it entirely without trying. So, how did they master the morning? And more importantly, why have we modern humans completely lost the ability to do the same? The answer exposes the profound neurological violence we inflict upon our brains every single morning. To understand this, we have to look at a fundamental biological truth. For the vast majority of our history, time wasn't a rigid number, it was a fluid shift between light and shadow. Our ancestors didn't wake up at a specific hour, they woke up at a specific chemical moment. And that exact mechanism is still hard-coded into your DNA today. Deep inside your brain, right above where your optic nerves intersect, lies a microscopic powerhouse. It's a cluster of roughly 20,000 cells known as the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the SCN. This is your body's master biological clock, perfected over millions of years of evolution. Its primary job is beautifully simple: it reads the sky. But it doesn't see the world the way your conscious mind does. Hidden inside your eyes, entirely separate from the cells that allow you to perceive shapes and colors, is a hidden network of light sensors called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. These specialized cells contain a light-sensitive pigment called melanopsin, and they have one sole purpose: to monitor the ambient brightness of the atmosphere. Every morning, as dawn begins to break, the light in the environment subtly shifts. Even with your eyelids tightly shut, these melanopsin cells detect the creeping glow of the sun. Within milliseconds, they send an electrical pulse straight down a dedicated neural highway directly to your SCN. Instantly, a flawless chemical symphony begins. First, your brain puts the brakes on melatonin, the sleep hormone. Second, it begins to gently elevate your core body temperature. And third, it triggers a phenomenon known as the cortisol awakening response. Roughly 30 to 45 minutes before you actually open your eyes, your body floods your system with a natural surge of cortisol. This isn't the cortisol of toxic stress, it's an activating fuel. It slightly raises your heart rate and blood pressure, shifting your brainwaves out of deep, heavy sleep and easing you into the lighter stages. Human beings were never designed to snap awake instantly. We were built to surface slowly, like a submarine gradually rising from the depths of the ocean. Ancient humans experienced this transition completely. There were no blackout curtains to block the dawn, and no screens to trick the eyes. When the chemical sequence finished, they simply opened their eyes, fully awake. However, pure biology only explains half the mystery. The other half is deeply social. Anthropologists long wondered, what happened when ancient humans needed to wake up before the sun? How did a tribe coordinate an early morning hunt or avoid the brutal midday heat without an alarm clock? In 2017, scientists studying the Hadza hunter-gatherers of Tanzania, a tribe whose lifestyle closely mirrors our early ancestors, uncovered an extraordinary phenomenon called the sentinel hypothesis. When tracking the tribe's sleep, researchers discovered that ancient sleep was never perfectly synchronized. Instead, it was staggered. In fact, across an entire night, there were only about 18 minutes when every single member of the tribe was asleep at the same time. This means that our modern frustration with chronotypes, the fact that some of us are naturally early birds while others are night owls, is not a genetic defect. It is an evolutionary survival mechanism. The night owl stayed up late to keep guard and tend the fire, while the early birds naturally woke up hours before the dawn. Waking up wasn't an individual burden, it was a shared environmental experience. As the early risers woke up, the camp would softly come to life. The crackle of stoking the fire, the crunch of footsteps, the low hum of early morning conversation. Your environment gently nudged you out of unconsciousness. You didn't wake up to a cold, unyielding machine, you woke up to your people. So, what destroyed this perfectly calibrated, ancient system? The very same thing that erased the stars from our night skies, artificial light. When we electrified our world, we didn't just conquer darkness, we completely hijacked our biology. Today, we sit in bed staring at blue light-emitting screens until 11 p.m. or midnight. Those melanopsin cells in your eyes absorb that artificial glow and tell your SCN that it is still the middle of the afternoon. Consequently, your melatonin production is delayed by hours, knocking your internal clock completely out of sync with the actual rotation of the Earth. Your brain genuinely believes you are going to sleep in the afternoon. So when your 7 a.m. alarm finally screams, your body hasn't even begun preparing to wake up. In fact, you are often ripped straight out of stage 3 slow-wave sleep, the deepest cycle of rest. During this phase, your brain is flooded with high-amplitude delta waves, your blood pressure is at its lowest, and your muscles are essentially paralyzed. Your natural cortisol surge hasn't even started. And then, the alarm goes off. It doesn't gently invite you to wake up, it violently shatters your neurological architecture. Being abruptly torn from deep sleep forces your brain to violently shift from low-frequency delta waves to high-frequency beta waves in an instant. It's a brutal neurological gear shift that floods your bloodstream with panic-inducing adrenaline rather than natural, smooth cortisol. Worse still, your brain hasn't finished its nightly maintenance. Throughout the day, a chemical called adenosine builds up in your brain, creating what scientists call sleep pressure. The only way to clear adenosine is through a complete, uninterrupted sleep cycle. When an alarm truncates that cycle, massive amounts of leftover adenosine remain stuck to your brain's receptors. This is the origin of sleep inertia, that heavy, miserable grogginess, disorientation, and irritability you feel every morning. Studies show that when you are shocked out of deep sleep by an alarm, your cognitive performance is heavily impaired for up to 2 hours. You are essentially operating with the cognitive capacity of a mild concussion, simply because of the way you woke up. We have engineered a society where our bodies are forced awake by panic rather than readiness. But the most fascinating part of this story is that the ancient programming inside you isn't gone. It's just waiting to be reactivated. In a landmark 2013 study, sleep researcher Dr. Kenneth Wright at the University of Colorado Boulder took a group of modern, tech-obsessed individuals and sent them camping in the Rocky Mountains for 1 week. No smartphones, no flashlights, no artificial digital inputs, just campfires and the natural cycle of the sun. The findings were astonishing. Within just 7 days, every single participant's biological clock completely recalibrated to the solar day. Their bodies began producing melatonin precisely at sunset, and their cortisol awakening response shifted perfectly to the dawn. By the end of the week, every individual began waking up naturally, slightly before sunrise, refreshed, alert, and entirely without an alarm clock. For hundreds of thousands of years, every human who walked this earth before you trusted their body to usher them into the next day. It was intuitive, reliable, and effortless. They didn't wake up on time, they woke up with time. And somewhere along the way, we traded that profound, natural awakening for a cold piece of glass that screams at us in the dark. Maybe it's time we learn how to listen to the dawn again.